This is the Great North Wrestling Podcast, the official podcast of the Hannibal TV, Canada's #1 pro wrestling YouTube channel, with your host, three-time Canadian champion and GNW lead reporter, Devin Hannibal Nicholson.
This is Hannibal from thehannibaltv.com, and on the line today for the Great North Wrestling Podcast, we have Sam Huston, former WWE, NWA, and WCW star, and right now you're driving, is that correct?
Yes, sir. Hey, first let me say thank you for having me on, man. It's always a pleasure when I get to talk to you and be on your show. So thank you for having me on. And I'm coming from McKinney, Texas, back up to Whitesboro, Texas. I got just a couple more months with the interlock system in my vehicle, y'all. I got over 9 years sober. This is just one more hurdle that I'll overcome in 2 more months. So, you know, everything's a blessing. I'm going up to Whitesboro, Texas. I had some damage at a Baptist church up there, and we're going to go take a look at that and fix that up for them.
So do you work a regular job now as well? I know you're still doing indie bookings. You wrestled in Las Vegas last April in a great match that Kevin Sullivan was involved with, but are you still working regular jobs as well?
Well, I'm doing whatever I have to do, you know. Yeah, right now, you know, I remodel homes. I do some really awesome things in a home. I can do everything from pouring the slab and putting the shingles on and everything in between. I'm not a licensed electrician or I'm not a licensed plumber, but I've taken the plumbing class in prison, you know, and I'm a good enough electrician to where we can hang ceiling fans. I'm allowed to do up to, I think it was $7,000 worth of either electrical or plumbing on any job.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
I don't know where the monetary, I don't know where that breakdown comes from, but the state of Louisiana was like that.
And you're also a singer, as you mentioned in some of the other interviews that we've done with you that people could search on the Hannibal TV YouTube channel. You're now a singer for religious music.
Well, okay, that song, I wrote a song a long time ago that did well. I won't go into it. But after that, I had a band for a little while in the Carolinas when things slowed down, and we played a few gigs and stuff, and I liked it. But I kept writing music. And the night I got saved by the Lord, by the night I accepted Jesus into my heart and decided to live for Him, the first 3 verses of the song came to me. And I wrote it all out, and I kept it for years. I shared it with a few people, and everybody was, wow, that is awesome. And then I wrote the last verse in prison, you know, and it's been something that I want to get out there. It's an empowering song. People that hear it, they give me the same feedback. They feel empowered. They feel good. You know, for me, it's great to be able to help somebody like that.
And I know your brother's Jake Roberts. Did you ever watch his documentary that Diamond Dallas Page did on him? I know it wasn't religion that finally got him to clean up, but I think DDP had a lot to do with it. I was just wondering.
Yeah, DDP had a great deal to do with it, man. DDP deserves the highest praises. You know, he did what he did what nobody else had been successful at as of yet, you know, and in doing so, it brought Jake back. It gave him his life back, you know, and that, you know, my brother's got the best mind in this business for psychology and everything else. Can't say enough good, but he, you know, we all have problems. We all have, you know, I guess skeletons in your closets or addictions or something lurking behind us, you know, that doesn't need to be there. It's another obstacle that gets in your way, you know. And from where I'm coming from, in my walk with the Lord, I have to look at it as obstacles the enemy is putting in my way.
And how is your sister doing these days, Rockin' Robin? We haven't heard from her in many years in the wrestling industry.
Yeah, Robin and I kind of parted ways last year. I hope she's doing well. I see that she's doing well with her home improvement business, flipping houses. She's doing good on those. So, I'm glad for her. I love her and I'll pray for her.
Did you and your siblings always want to be wrestlers, or is it something that your father encouraged you to do since he was in the business?
Well, no, I wanted to. From the time I was 4 years old, my grandmother asked me one time, she saw me signing my name, I was writing stick letters and then drawing little waves underneath of them to turn them into cursive letters at 4 years old. And she said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm practicing my autograph." And then when I got into second grade in school, I went to a wrestling camp one summer, and Coach Murphy, because guys like Jim Shields and Danny Hodge, all these guys I knew that had great collegiate backgrounds. Well, my Coach Murphy, was a wrestling coach. He saw this, and he invited me to work out with the high school during the school year, because some of my friends would come and help with the high school guys.
And is you learned a couple hooking moves, or was that later on?
Oh, well, I learned those in the dressing room every night. I mean, I was in the dressing room. I was on the road with my dad most of the time as well. And you get in the dressing room, and all the guy, you're the little young kid. "Come here, kid. Let me show you this." And Danny Hodge would have you screaming and hollering. But I tell you what, after it was all over, you knew how to apply a front face lock, not just that piece of garbage that guys grab nowadays. You learn to use that thumb, turn that chin, and then bar your arm and put your hand on their shoulder. Boom! You lift up just so it takes no tension. You have a guy up on his tiptoes at no time.
And you used that a couple of times in your career, didn't you?
Oh yeah, always. But I want to make sure that what I do makes sense.
Yeah. So when you started your pro wrestling career, was Florida the first territory you worked in?
Yeah. What happened was I was gonna break in Louisiana. But what happened was I had my tonsils taken out. And when that happened, I flatlined. There was problems during the tonsillectomy. I flatlined. I was gone for 2 minutes. Spent 2 weeks in a recovery. Had to have emergency surgeries, a massive heart attack. The whole nine yards. That's what the 2 scars on my neck are. I didn't eat food from April the 2nd till August 13th that year. I lost over 100 pounds. When I got my weight back up, I asked my dad, I said, "Well, I'm ready." And he said, "No, I've already lost you once, son. This business isn't for you." And so I ran away from home, and Dusty Rhodes, I ran away from home to Florida. Dusty was down there. He was a Fred. And he got me my first matches. And I started in Florida. I was down there for 3 months, and then shipped off there to the Carolinas.
And I guess you developed your friendship with Dusty just from being in the dressing rooms with your dad when you were younger?
Yeah, being on the road, going and getting them Cokes. I mean, I grew up with my best friends weren't like Alan and Joe down the block or, this one or that. My best friends was, were Wahoo McDaniels, Mr. Wrestling 2, Ted DiBiase, these guys, the boys. And I mean, and when I was driving the boys everywhere. I mean, I was at the Hall of Fame the other night. I guess a few months back, in Wichita Falls, and we were sitting at the table, and Johnny Mantell, we were talking, and Johnny Mantell had brought up a point, and I finally, it's always been a story, because of the drug use and everything else. It was rampant and drinking. I was doing all that stuff at 15 years old. Johnny was saying something. I said, what are you talking about? I was driving junkyard dogs, smoking cigarettes, rolled in cocaine at 15 years old. There's a whole lot of the, people don't know. And I'm not trying to bring anybody down, but that is the, that is how I grew up. That, I was out there. And my addictions and stuff like that just flourished. I'm just really thankful that I've got 9 years without.
So I guess you were driving the junkyard dog around when he was at his peak in Louisiana then.
Oh, yeah, in Louisiana. And Ted DiBiase, let me tell you one on him. Teddy bought him a Smokey and the Bandit Trans Am. Oh, rest in peace, Burt Reynolds. Anyway, but DiBiase had that the black Trans Am. And, it looked pretty and everything. Well, I worked at a gas station. I took care of all the guys' cars, too. And there's a linkage on a 4-barrel carburetor, on that Rochester 4-barrel carburetor, that if you take it off, when you step on the gas pedal, instead of it going, woo, woo, and then kicking into 4-barrel, this dumps it all in at once, and it's like, whoop, and gone. And so I did that to Ted's car, and I did it to Jack Howell's car, because Jack Howell had a Firebird that had the same engine. So, and those things would pass everything on the highway but a gas station.
Yeah. Yeah, those Firebirds. Didn't Jack Briscoe have a Firebird at one point, too, I think?
Well, Duggan had one. That's what Duggan flipped in. But, see, I was there and all that. These were my friends. These were my... And then I got told I couldn't get in the business, and then so I ran away from home and got in.
Were you a witness to any of the infamous dressing room fights in that territory? Because I hear that there was a lot back in Bill Watts' day, because he would kind of let it go sometimes.
Well, they kind of let it go, but they'd step in. I mean, the only one I really remember that sticks out was because a lot of the guys were a little more professional with it, and they most of the guys kind of stuck together back then, but I do remember Matt Bourne and Duggan. But the guys did step into it finally. But actually, what I witnessed, I never really saw them, tear into each other or anything like that. Everybody kind of had respect. Now if you get in the ring or something like that, that's different.
Yeah. So then.
But I think.
Oh, sorry.
The best one. Oh no, but I guess one of the best wrestlers that I've ever seen, and the guy never really got any of the props that he deserved. I don't feel it was George Weingroff, Saul Weingroff's son. And what an awesome amateur wrestler he was, but he was also legally blind. I used to work out with him a lot.
So where did you go? You went to Mid-Atlantic and you were successful there. Then I guess you went to Central States Wrestling?
Yeah, I went to Central States after that. I left Central States. We'd been there, 7 months. I got messed over on a payoff. And, we did, 68, almost $69,000 in Omaha, Nebraska, me against the Warlord for the title in Omaha. And, we were so excited because we would drive 400 miles from Kansas City to Fort Scott, Kansas or somewhere. We'd drive 400 miles, get there, and there'd be 9 people in the building. You go find out where the posters are, and they're trying to sell the posters for advertising at the concession stand. Well, how can you sell anything if nobody knows you're in town? And that's something we butted heads with out there for the longest, for that 7 months. Because Crockett bought out Bob Geigel. We got all shipped out there. They were going to expand it. We did $68,000 in Omaha, Man, we got back to Kansas City that night. I was on the phone with Dusty in the office the next morning. I said, when are we going back? You know, because, I mean, it just rejuvenated all of us out there. And I got told, babies, the Kansas City crew ain't going to be going back because there's going to be a viable market for the Charlotte office, you know. I was, excuse me? And then they brought us back one more time with the Charlotte office guys and only, you know, 3 or 4 matches of the Kansas City guys. But the payoff was $75 on top. And then Crockett says, oh, well, we've lost a lot of money out on that territory. Well, it's your own doggone fault because you're not doing the advertising.
Yeah.
People know who we were, and I proved that when I left there and went to work for Watts. Me and Eddie Gilbert for the UWF title did $155,000 in Kansas City, I think, is the deal.
How did you get along with Missy Hyatt? We interviewed her recently, and she was talking.
Oh, Missy was great. Yeah, you know, that's it. I always, you know, I had nothing but good stuff to say about Missy. We've always been, you know, we're friendly, I guess. I mean, friends. You know, she's married to Eddie. I had Nicola. You know, our careers and our paths have crossed many times.
And I guess Bill Watts, you got along with Bill Watts, I guess, because you'd known him for so long.
Well, he was kind of like, you know, he was Dad's boss for a lot of years and stuff. And see, when I started, I guess the first ring I helped put up for Watts and McGurk, I was 9 years old, you know. And then I started being able to make money, helping set the ring up, getting the guys' jackets. And that worked into being part of the ring crew at 14 and 15, having my own ring crew, or setting up, taking care of the TV rings. And then all the towns that didn't have a permanent ring, I had to haul one down, set it up. I was making good money back then. I was working at gas stations, setting up the ring, was keeping time, announcing every once in a while. You know, wasn't too bad of a gig for a teenager.
And you were teaming with Terry Taylor a bit in those days too, weren't you?
Oh no, that was no Terry Taylor. No, that was after I was wrestling with Terry Taylor. I met Terry back then. Yeah, this was when I was a teenager. But yeah, I sort of worked for Watts. I got a paycheck just like all the boys did. You know, 15, 16 years old from the office because I worked for Mid-South.
Wow.
Yeah, and so, you know, but I respected Bill. Bill had some of the top talent in the country. You know, the top talent there was, you know. Everybody came in down there. And, but with all that top talent comes a lot of rowdy egos, you know, and he had to keep a tight rein on stuff to keep his guys in line, you know. He was, I guess, I mean, you don't know how many times the DA's office got called or this got called or these guys had to get out of trouble on this bar fight or this, you know. It was almost an everyday thing going on, you know, because the guys were nuts. I mean, and they're looking for a way to cut loose. They're putting 2,500, 3,000 miles a week, you know, on their bodies.
Yeah.
You know, Watts had a successful territory. He worked hard to, you know, get it that way, and it was, to be honest, it was one of the most well-respected organizations.
Do you think the wrestlers were better characters in those days overall because they were really nuts in a lot of cases, whereas like today you don't see quite as good characters as you did in the 80s and the early 90s?
Guys don't live it now. You know what I mean? You know, to be a gimmick, you gotta be a walking, talking gimmick 24/7. You know, you have to handle yourself the way Nikita Koloff did. You know, I didn't know Nikita wasn't from over yonder. You know, I'd heard, he was one of the Road Warriors buddies from Minnesota, and Darso, his thing was, you know, one of them is either his mother or his father is Russian or something. So I didn't know. I didn't really pay all that much attention. I knew Nikita, but whenever he talked to me, he talked to me, you know, just like, you know, he talked on interviews, I guess. The missing link, Dewey Robertson. That's a man, again, that lived his gimmick, you know. But I learned that through my dad. My dad wrestled as a 7-foot tall, you know, lumberjack kind of guy, blah, 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 big bear hug. You know, that's what he was. You know, Jody Hamilton, in his book, The Man Behind the Mask, gave my dad credit for that, you know, always that he lived his gimmick. And that's what, you know, everybody now wants to separate the two. Hold on, I got to blow.
Yeah.
That's that interlock, y'all. Anyway, go ahead.
What were the groupies like for like a young baby face like you in those days when wrestling was extremely popular?
Well, I mean, there was a whole lot of pretty girls. I'm not going to say there wasn't, you know. You know, they were there to help with anything, I guess. You know, I mean, I don't know how else to say it. You know, real sweethearts. You know.
So it was almost like a rock star's life that you would get to
Oh,
live.
yeah. Well, it could have been. I mean, I didn't choose that lifestyle or anything like that. I mean, it was there if I wanted. But no, once I was in a relationship, or, you know, I was in relationships most of the time.
Okay.
So I didn't really, like, you know, I mean, yeah, I did some, but, you know, not all, you know, anyway.
And how did you end up in WWE?
When Crockett bought Watts out, I went to work for Watts. When Crockett bought Watts out, and that's where me and Terry got together some. Because I had left Kansas City territory, and Nicola and I, Baby Doll and I, Crockett came in. They told everybody they weren't gonna fire anybody that worked for Watts. But they'd already called me in earlier that afternoon and said, "You're fired." They told me I was fired. But they were letting all the rest of the boys know, and I told them, I stood up in the dressing room. I said, "That's all right, Jimmy. You know, you can tell them, oh yeah, y'all fired me this afternoon. I got my 2 weeks, guys. You know, I love you guys. You know, you're family to me." And every one of them was, you know. So I worked my 2 weeks out, and then, but after I got that call that afternoon, I had to go down and meet Eddie Gilbert at Billy Bob's. I went back home and called up Vince. And Vince said, "You start March the 10th. You know? So I think somebody's been watching me.
Yeah, because at that time, that was what, around 86 or 87 when WWE was...
No, that was, I believe, 87 with WWE. Either 87, 88, somewhere.
Okay. So did they have any talks with you about your character in those days, or was it more you come up with?
No, I just, you know, I did my own thing. You know, I was just me. You know, I was always cowboy hat and boots when I was growing up, and that's what I am now. We've got a horse rescue right here up in Whitesboro, Texas. Now we've rescued 10 horses from slaughterhouses, and we're training those to be service pets for autistic children and elderly and all kinds of things. Cancer patients, disabled. And I'm talking to a guy in 2 weeks about doing this for the Wounded Warriors.
Right, that's with the veterans, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. you know, they do a lot for us, you know. And a lot of times, and I see here, you know, the government falls up short, you know, on their promises. You know, if it takes you months and months and you die while you're on a waiting list to see a doctor, you know, need to be able to take care of our own.
And something interesting on the internet, it says that during one of your first TV appearances, you actually helped Ted DiBiase, who was originally a babyface in WWE. Do you have any remembrance of that?
Oh yeah, that was the night he turned on me down in Houston, Texas. Paul Bosch had a big event in Houston, and Teddy and I were tag team partners against. I don't recall if it was. I know it was One Man Gang, and I believe it was Ron Bass.
Okay.
And Teddy turned on me that night. That was on a Friday, and then Monday at TV, he was the $1 Million Man.
Wow. And you also worked with Bam Bam Bigelow in those days. We've heard from some people that he treated some of the talent not too good and other talent good. What were your experiences with Bam Bam?
Mine were great with him. You know, we had a blast. I guess I had one of his first matches when he first came in for Vince at first, and I mean, we tore the place up. And I guess we bonded and had, you know, and had a friendship, and that's what I was the only one that he would let call. I called him Sparky. That was my nickname for him because of his head and stuff. But yeah, we you know, get together, have a few drinks, the whole 9 yards. He was always cool with me.
And you wrestled, I guess, Joe LeDuc in WWE too. A lot of people don't remember his run. Do you remember why he didn't last very long in WWE? Because he was a pretty good character.
Well, he was a good character, and he would have. I think they were just trying to phase him out. To be honest, I think they were trying to give him a paycheck for a little while, and kind of like, you know, just phase him out, make him disappear. It was a way for, I guess, Terry Garvin and Pat Patterson to reach out, because he's a French Canadian as well. Just for them to reach out and sort of take care of their own, give them another shot at the big time. And then after it's over, let him ease out with dignity, basically. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. So I guess you had a pretty good run in WWE then, because according to the internet, it says you were working for them from '87 to '91.
Yes, sir. And then, you know, a lot of people are like WrestleMania 5, and I forgot it until I saw a film the other day. I'd forgotten that I was the #1 contender for the Intercontinental title. You know? And here's something else. You know, here's something to me that I think is hilarious. I didn't know that day when I walked in there. I didn't know I was the #1 contender. You know, and I guess it really didn't stand out that too much in my mind, because oh shoot, what's the word I'm looking for? Must not have stood out too much in my mind, you know, because the match wasn't one of my best. It wasn't one. You know, you got 5 or 10 minutes to go out there and get a job done. You know, come on, I want to get out there and I want to spend 30 or 40 minutes. You know, that's when you're doing something.
Who was that?
You know,
against? Was that against Kurt Hennig?
No, that was against Honky Tonk Man.
Honky Tonk Man, okay.
Yeah. You know, oh, if it had been against Hennig, whoa, could you imagine?
Oh, that would have been amazing.
You know, Kurt wrote in his memoirs, is what I've heard. I don't know, I've never seen it, but I've been told it several times by quite a few different people, that he described his the three greatest matches in his career. The greatest match was Bret the Hitman Hart. Second was Nick Bockwinkel, and third was Sam Houston.
Well, you're definitely a great hand, and you're still a good hand. From what I saw in Las Vegas, you're still in top shape too. You got your abs, and you look like you're in as good a shape as ever right now.
Well, I'm trying. I wrestled in Whitesboro, Texas the other night, and I've got partials. And I was wrestling one of the guys from Wildcat Wrestling, Luke Hawks' group. And he gave me he did something to me anyway, knocked my teeth out, but I did like a Fonzie cool thing. When my teeth come knocking out, my hand was right there and caught them and then slipped them right back in. Nobody ever saw a thing.
That's hilarious. Well, we'll wind it down here because I know you got work to do today, but we'll definitely check in with you again in the future. You want to just tell us where we can follow you on social media and where we can find out more about your music?
Yeah, you can follow me on my Facebook page. My personal page is under Michael Sam Houston, but it's open to the public. So anybody, even though my friends list is full, you can still watch and follow me on that. You can go to Sam Houston Fan Nation on Facebook and follow me there. Also on YouTube, it's Sam Houston Brand is my YouTube channel. And anything you'd like to share with me on that of yours, Hannibal, I'd love to do it. Just holler and send it over, and I have my pal Jamie Morris hook it up. And then we've also got Sam Houston. It's not Sam Houston. It's God's Got a Hold on Me. Just God's Got a Hold on Me. And that's a Sam Houston sponsored page as well. And that one tells you the things that I'm doing in the churches. Because I go to the substance abuse center here in Gainesville, and I talk to these kids at the state school. They're locked up. I go in and talk to them. 2 weeks ago, I spoke at my father's church. He's got a congregation of about 400 people. So I've been doing my testimony and things like that. So if you want to keep your ear to the ground or drop me a line, please do.
Very good. Well, we wish you luck in the future. We're going to keep talking to you, and we'll definitely check in with you and find out what you're doing in the coming months. So thanks a lot for doing this interview with us.
Oh, yeah, and everybody, come on. You got to check out Salvation by Sam Houston on YouTube. Hey, Hannibal, thank you so very much, and you have a blessed day, my brother.
Thank you for listening to the Great North Wrestling Podcast. Subscribe to this podcast on iTunes and subscribe to the Hannibal TV on YouTube for all the latest GNW news and videos. Follow at Devin Hannibal on Twitter and check out our website at thehannibaltv.com.